Okay, this is a quick demo of the Indiana Department of Education Preventing Phishing course. A few things to keep in mind while viewing this. This is being viewed outside of learning management system. So depending on the learning management system or LMS that you use, you may see a different wrapper around the course. That does include the MediaPro Litmus LMS. So you'll see some additional controls across the top. Viewing this outside the LMS, so this is just a direct link to the course. Another thing to keep in mind is that this content is highly configurable. So we do have the ability to take pages out, add other pages from our library, and that sort of thing. So this course is not necessarily set in stone. It can be modified. Some of the basic features of our courses, when you first open up a course, down in the lower right-hand corner, you'll actually have a start button here, the course that has been opened before. So if the user has accessed the course before and maybe made it partway through, but not all of the way, then instead this becomes a last page visited and takes them to the last page they've accessed in the course. You'll also notice we have our course title here, and then this Preventing Phishing, this is the lesson that's included in this course. Some courses have multiple lessons, and under that lesson are the pages that are included in the course. You'll also notice the assessment is grayed out. That just means that I have not been through all of the pages in the course, so I don't have the ability to access the assessment yet. And then the last thing to keep in mind is the branding on this page. So you'll notice we've got an Indiana Department of Education logo up at the top. That is something that we're able to brand for an organization, and we've also modified the color to match that same logo. So rather than go to the last page visited, I am actually going to start at the beginning. So I'm just going to manually go to the introduction in the course. And there is audio accompanying. Let me go ahead actually and mute that audio, which is an option learners have. It's just a little too tricky doing a recording to have that. Any text that's on the main part of the page in black here will be what's narrated. So the narrator is going to be speaking these words here. That will not include anything in pop-up windows or things like that. So we have our introduction here. We've got, if I click on the objectives button, it shows me objectives throughout the course. And once I've looked at everything on this page, I can click next. Some of our pages have pretty simple interactions. So things like just a button that you click on to see additional information. Some of them have a little animation over on the side here. This page, for example, has information on spam, phishing, spear phishing, and it defines those terms for the user. So you'll see additional animation on the right-hand side as I click things. And then some of the pages have a little bit more of an interaction. So this page, for example, has two things I can click on. I can click on the hint if I need additional information there, or I can click start to start the interaction. And this one is asking me to, or is asking the user to identify suspicious elements in a phishing email. So this one is a higher level of interaction because I'm required to look at this and see things like, oh, this has been sent to multiple people. So when they click on the suspicious element over to the left, it's going to start listing them. Things like account suspended. So, and these are things, obviously, I don't want to go through every detail of the training, but the page is expecting me to really interact with the content so that instead of reading a list, for example, of suspicious elements, I'm looking at everything in the email that could potentially be an issue. I think I already clicked on, let's see, there we go. So it's expecting them to find all of those things, and then they can go on to the next one. One of the options you do have, and I can't think right off the bat which way we did this with the Indiana courses, but we have the option to require users to interact with everything on a page before they move on. I've already been through this entire course, so it's going to let me navigate regardless, but you can set a course up so that users have to click on all options before they're able to click next. So it just ensures that the user is interacting with the page. This is kind of a similar page, but more targeted to helping them figure out, okay, if you see a URL, where is that actually going to send you? So that one has some examples, and also they can go through more examples if they want to see more. Other types of interactions, I'm going to hit start on this one. This one registers your level of skepticism, so you're still kind of pointing out suspicious elements of emails. Some of our pages have toggle switches, so this is a do and don't toggle switch. Open attachments to verify their contents, you don't want them to do that. And when they get the correct answer, you can see they get feedback down at the bottom. If you give the wrong answer, it turns red, so it's pretty sort of basic. Green is correct, red is incorrect type interaction. And then this page also has the option of clicking on our policy there to see the policy on phishing attempts. Other than that, and the phishing course is pretty heavily interactive intentionally, because this is something that users see a lot. So phishing is a huge concern for a lot of companies, and we want to make sure that the users are not just reading the information, but interacting with it. So this page runs them through specific scenarios. This one looks like a request from the chief financial officer for a wire transfer. So it's giving you some information on, hey, what should we probably be doing here? And you can give your answer. And on a lot of these, you can actually change your answer. For the most part, they get the same feedback. The only thing that changes is you either got it correct or not. But it tells you this is a common tactic. You know, here's what you should be doing. And then the last thing that's in here is technically a game. It's just part of the course. So on this page, you're expected to, or the user is expected to add their information here. I'll put my information in there. It automatically creates an email address based on that name. And then I'm going to click login. And this is exactly what you want your user to be doing in your inbox. If I get this message, what should I be doing? So in this case, it's an email from someone internal asking me to view a report, and I get to decide, do I want to keep it or do I want to delete it? I will keep it. This is something from a coworker, and I was expecting it. And you basically can go through these emails. So this is, again, exactly what your users are going to be doing in their actual email. The idea is just to run them through that and see, do they really know what they should be doing? This is supposedly from a benefits administrator, and I can decide, okay, I do know them or I don't know them, and go through all of the options. Now, if I start getting things wrong on this page, oops, clicked on the wrong thing there. Let's see, if I want to keep everything, you can see at the bottom there, I get checks and X's for things. At the end, it gives me a score. So if you don't do well, I think it allows you to miss maybe one. It'll kind of suggest that you take it again, but it's kind of nice to give you an idea of, hey, you're doing okay, but you have some improvement there. So there's that immediate feedback. And then the final thing in the course is the assessment. So once I finish the course, it bounces me back to the menu page. I'm going to click assessment and begin assessment. And these are questions based on what was in my course. So I can answer these as I go through. I'm going to just quickly kind of click something so that you guys can see what it looks like at the end. Hopefully users are passing this one on the first try. The 10 questions are based on, they're built from the pages in the course. So you may not get, if you don't pass the assessment the first time, you may not get the same 10 questions next time. There's generally a pool. There's a couple of questions per page normally. So a course like this might have 16 or 18 questions to choose from. I forget how many pages there are. And then if you don't pass, you get this message. You haven't passed the assessment, review your answers below, and they can go back through and see. Keep in mind, you may not get all of these exact questions again. And then you can go back to the menu to take the assessment again. If they do pass it, then it just gives them a congratulations message. And then if you've chosen to use our certificate, there is a certificate you can use within the course that they can click on and then print out. So that is probably a slightly overly detailed look through of our Preventing Phishing course. Again, a lot of this is configurable. For the Department of Education, we are trying to keep things fairly standard. So there will be a consensus on what needs to be included in the phishing course. You don't have to use our LMS. We do offer one through Litmus. And the Department of Education has contracted to set that up, so we can set up individual Litmus accounts for schools that don't have their own. But if you do have another one that you use, another learning management system, we're also able to provide a download to upload into that system. So that's just a general idea of how our courses work. Preventing phishing is probably a little bit higher on the interaction level than some of them, but all of our courses are built to engage the user and to make sure that they're not just clicking through a PowerPoint deck, that there's a lot of interaction with the topics. If you have any questions on this, there is a web page out there, and actually that's probably where this is going to go. Jason is the best contact for that. He can reach out to me with any specific content-related questions. All right, so I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jason Bailey, who can also contact me with any of that. And I'm happy to discuss either what's included in this course or other options that we have for courses.